You probably saw this week.
No one is illegal on stolen land. And yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter, and I say sorry.
Well, of all people, Danica Patrick decided to weigh in, because we're all just sitting around wondering what she's thinking about politics. She said, quote, "What if we all showed up to her mansion and said we are going to live there now? It's stolen land, right? She doesn't own it." Now, if you haven't heard, Billie Eilish happens to live on ancestral Native American land, as do a lot of us, by the way, but I digress. I'm also not going to sit and celebrate what she did, because she literally did the bare minimum that we ask of celebrities. But she's done more than the vast majority, and any voice right now is important. But the truth is that it wouldn't have mattered to Danica Patrick or other MAGA if she lived on ancestral land or not. They would have criticized her anyway. We know that because this is the way that MAGA responds to everything. When I used to advocate for permanent supportive housing for the unhoused, I used to get all the time comments saying, well, why don't you take a few in? That's also every third comment right now online in response to the ICE outrage. In fact, really, anytime somebody tries to advocate for something beneficial, they call it virtue signaling. The first thing about this is the obvious hypocrisy. Is it virtue signaling when you tell people how hard you work to get there and that they can do it too? When you were able to buy a house with some Cracker Jacks? But even more than that, this is the mindset that gave us Trump. And it really all just boils down to self-hatred and jealousy. In fact, that's what makes you right-wing. And to be fair, our society has piled so much on, partially thanks to these people, but piled so much on nonetheless, that it's hard to see outside yourself. They'll say, I didn't get any handouts, even if they did, and that you shouldn't get any either. Or, why do you deserve this and not me? It's the same thing you deal with young kids. They just never seem to grow out of it, crying that that's not fair at every corner. And what's ironic is they often think it's the marginalized that do this, saying they're always whining and acting like victims, so consumed with themselves that another person couldn't possibly have had it harder. Sure, elitist liberals can be pretty obnoxious, and I've said as much. They often end up minimizing the challenges of others in their group because they have the economic privilege to overcome it. But that's not a reason to put that blanket on everyone. The white supremacy in this is that they wouldn't have that mindset if it was a person in their group. They often help people in their church or in their neighborhood, but they don't want to do it through government, partially because they've been indoctrinated, but it's more because they just don't want to be lumped in with everybody else. They don't see themselves as being in community with Native Americans or Black Americans. They want to keep things nice and neat inside Whiteyville. And yes, we do live on stolen land, obviously. Manifest Destiny led us to take land out west and commit one of the largest genocides in human history. And we brought in slaves and abused immigrants to rebuild the land. If you don't believe that, then you're delusional. We were the good guys one time. We can be great, and there's been moments, but we can't do so if we keep lying to ourselves. Germany would never be what it is today if Holocaust deniers took over. All that being said, they probably know this and don't care.